Let's talk about a sector that had a lot of drama in it and one pretty clear winner, but plenty of others enjoying the big uptake of sports betting. James Demmert joins us to talk casino stocks, gaming. He's a founder and chief strategist, or investment officer rather, at Main Street Research. James, great to have you here today.
Hi, Oliver. How are you?
Doing well. Closing out the year by trying to, pick the more fun stuff here, like the gaming stocks. Epic year for DraftKings. I mean, what do you think is the takeaway here in the sector? How much of it centers on the dominance of that company?
You know, it is game on for the game
Absolutely.
The gaming stocks, and I'm with you. It's a fun industry to cover, and a lot of exciting things going on in 2023. Some drama, and of course, DraftKings, the MVP, right, of online gambling. But in general, this sector thrives on better equity markets, and we certainly had one in 23. So a lot of these stocks really came off the floor. DraftKings probably the biggest winner, up over 200%. But investors have a lot of great choices in the sector. Everything from Microsoft, Activision. There was some drama there with that merger, along with Nintendo, or if you want to go over to China, Tencent. There's some really great opportunities here in the gaming casino companies, but also I think there's some really great opportunities in the parts and pieces that make these gaming companies and this technology work, namely companies like NVIDIA, which we can also chat about. But this industry is very strong, and it's growing, certainly.
In terms of what can grow it even more at this point, I like that you mentioned the status of the consumer, that kind of backdrop in general for stocks overall. Certainly seems like people are coordinating their gaming with their discretionary income, one would hope. But with still a lot of regions that disallow this, I mean, that feels like there's big market pie to grow still.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, first of all, you've got the tailwind in the gaming industry. You've got 3 billion people who are actively using gaming or gambling online companies. And then this is growing just as it is at 10% a year. And what's cool about it is the demographics. These are 15 to 45-year-olds is the bulk of it. So you got a young demographic, and I think you're going to see more and more opening up in different geographic areas to allow that growth to even continue. So we're bullish, here in 2023 and into 2024, just based on some of those fundamental growth metrics that these companies are experiencing.
Okay. What do you think, James, is the potential surprise? Like I think about Portnoy's break with Penn. That seemed to really cause that stock to struggle. It seems like there is some pretty intense competition still in this space where, things don't always go exactly as planned.
In our business, they never really do. So you got to be a risk manager, and you've got to set your expectations for potential pitfalls. In this sector, one of the things that we always think about is you want a better economy, a more strong fundamental market. I think we have that. As you know, we're really bullish on the general environment. But then you also need, and this is very important for the casino stocks, you need that pandemic to stay away, be away. That's really what hurt places like in Vegas and Macau. So that's always a risk, of course, as we live in this planet with that risk out there. And then you have the individual stock risk, and and the casinos can face things like strikes or mismanagement of the balance sheets. And then you've got DraftKings, which is the number one, again, MVP of online gambling and sports. You want to make sure that they're continuing to see markets open up. And they've got some very interesting fundamentals going on in 2024, which we can chat about.
Yeah, the types of stories that can surprise too from the labor side, and the macro underpinnings of having a very services forward business, whether it's China's Macau getting shut down basically still for much of the past year, to then strikes here. I mean, I think that's part of the reason why investors love the online specific plays.
Yeah, they're definitely insulated from what we see as one of the bigger risks, which is pandemic, quarantine, strikes. I mean, that's why it is a very interesting business model. DraftKings, again, the king of the hill there, and they're in an interesting situation as well, where their branding, which has gotten so good, they're sort of known as the place to go. And that's making their client acquisition costs go down, right, as they're more recognizable. That's going to make them most likely, we think, turn a profit in 2024.
Okay. Do you think these hotels are going to be able to live down getting hacked?
Yeah, well, then again, there's that risk, right? So I think if you're going to own these stocks, you also want to own those cybersecurity companies as well, like Palo Alto Networks and so on. But yeah, you're not without that risk, and that's certainly they could be an easy target.
All right. So it sounds like right now, DraftKings at the top of the list, and whoever's chasing him the best is that's our ranking behind him.
I think the DraftKings, you got to have a thick stomach lining for a company that is not profitable and trading at 4 times sales. It's just about twice what an average stock sells for. So a little expensive. But then you go right behind it with Microsoft, which is now obviously merged, and I think you throw NVIDIA in there.
All right, like it. Yeah, the second time you mentioned NVIDIA in that conversation, I guess, right? Because they're going to use something from them. Eventually we're going to be able to have AI-powered betting. Well, they already are basically using all of that to figure out all their lines and stuff. It's just, maybe not Chat GPT. Fun chat. Appreciate it, James Demmert.